Picking up where I left off last time, we had just had Smokey home and I'd ridden him over to the Scouts. So lots of little stories here that are kind of fun. Um, I was wanting Kamari to be able to ride him, and so I would go out and work him. And when I'd come in, Kamari then would take care of him. She'd walk him out a little bit, riding him, and then get off and do the grooming and feeding and all of that to make him get to where he would like her. He only dumped her one time in those early days, and she was out in the field galloping, and they went over a terrace. And when he came over the terrace on the backside, it felt like a buck, and he went down and he did. He put in one buck, and she came off. Not didn't hit hard the ground hard, but he was so apologetic. He was standing there with his nose down to her. He realized, I think, that she was a friend. Horses like to be friends with people, and if you give them the chance, they will do so. Uh, you train horses with a system of reward and punishment, and you only want to do punishment when you set it up to where they do their own punishment. It's not physical punishment from you to them. You need to do that with reward, just like a child. A child will do better if you can reward them rather than scold them. So anyway, one of the fun stories of Smokey there, I was teaching him to do a little bit of everything because I had 350 head of mother cows, and I was having to take care of them, and so I needed a good ranch horse, and because our place covered a lot of ground, I thought, it would be a good idea that if I'm off out there and get hurt, this Smokey would take me home. And I had a pair of chaps on and a western saddle, and I'd gone to check cattle, and so we're headed back to the barn, and at the barn we had a riding arena and a big barn that we had built there on the ranch, and Kamari is in the arena teaching class. And what I did is I got off of Smokey, had a rein on that side I held on to, but I put my arm through the stirrup, and I told him to go home. And he didn't like it very well at first, but finally he started walking kind of sideways and with me sliding on the ground on my chaps. And I'm laying there, and of course his head is toward the barn and the corral as the arena, and mine is looking back because I have my arm stuck in the stirrup. Anyway, we're walking along there, and all of a sudden, here come the riders out of the arena. They all come rushing up. They were afraid I was really hurt. So I didn't do that anymore without warning Kamari before I did it. Gentlemen, you don't want to surprise your wife with bad things. Don't tease the way I did growing up. Uh, they take good handling just like a horse does. They respond to love and gentleness, and horses do that too. So as we would go take care of our cattle, I had cattle. I had this. I told you in the last video, we had this big creek, Stillwater Creek, that ran through the place, and we had a ford in it that was about 2.5 feet deep and uh, maybe 30 feet, 40 feet wide, and that's where we would go across because it had a good sandrock bottom. There were some other places that were not good to go across. And I'd go back and forth there, and Smokey loved the water. He loved to swim. We had 7 ponds on the place, and when we had riding students there for summer camps, we would take all of them and all the horses, and we'd go to a different pond every day and go swimming with the horses. And we had a horse that we called Sam, that he was our diving board. We could take him out and park him out there where his back was about 6, 8 inches above the water, and the kids would come and climb on him and get on his rump and dive off. And as they would dive off, of course, they're pushing, and his rear end would slowly sink into the mud. But he was really patient. He loved the kids, and the sometimes we'd have races. It was fun to see the kids bareback on their horses with just old camp clothes on, sometimes swimsuits, not usually, just usually a pair of shorts and a t-shirt. To have them gallop into the water, and like I said, horses get to where they like to have fun that way. Smokey was an excellent swimmer. We would swim across the lakes with him and some of the other horses as well. Uh, and so that was a good time. And during this period of time, we were doing well on the farm and ranch, and I received a letter in the mail from the United States government, and I knew that it was a summons to be drafted. Vietnam was going on, and they were drafting people, and so I'd done some preparation before being drafted. I had gone down and checked out. I could sign up on what they call the College Op program. I could be guaranteed Officers Candidate School, and I decided if I was going to Vietnam, I'd rather be an officer as I would be cannon fodder. And so I didn't open the uh, the draft notice, set it on the shelf, and I went down and enlisted because by enlisting, I had a master's degree from Oklahoma State University and went into a very unique group in the Army. All of us had signed up on this college op program. Our whole platoon was college graduates. We had 3 doctors. There were 3 or 4 of us with master's degrees, and everybody else had at least a bachelor's degree. And I joined the military, and they sent us to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri for our basic training. And I will give you a full account of that in the next video because it's an interesting account of my military service. So, but have a good day. Make comments, subscribe. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.